This video is my long-term review of the Felt VR. I've been riding this bike for the past 3 months, almost 3,000 kilometers on it, and I've learned a lot about this bike, and I just want to share everything that I know, everything that I've discovered, everything that I liked, everything that I dislike about this bike into a long-form podcast-like format. There's just so much to say, there's just so much to know, and if you're a potential customer, you're interested in buying this bike, this video will be the best resource on the internet about this bike, because I don't think there's a lot of reviewers or journalists that has been spending as much time as I did on this bike. It's a new release. It got released in 2024. It's now available in most of Felt dealers network, which is all around North America, all around Europe. Felt is a very established brand. They are everywhere. Everyone knows about this company. And this bike is a new model. It's a redesign of the old VR. And I just have so much to say about it that here we are into this long-term review. So stick with me. Watch it till the end if you're interested. And this bike, if you consider an endurance all-road bike, it's a good choice. So let's get into the review. But before, let me be fully transparent, and I want to disclose my full relationship with Felt bikes. I don't want you guys to think I am biased when it comes to talking about this bike. So I want to give you guys the full backstory in like under a minute. So basically, Felt sponsored me in 2023 as an ambassador of the brand, as a content creator to feature their bikes online. They provide me with the Felt AR, the Felt gravel bike, the breed, and they did pay me a salary back in 2023 just to help me run and do some content. Moving forward to 2024, this sponsorship sort of shut down because there was a change in ownership, but I stayed a friend of the brand and they still provide me with bikes, and the Felt VR was the bike that I got for 2024. But everything I'm going to express in this video will be my own opinions. I want to be fully transparent because I want you guys to, if you're interested in buying the VR, I want you to buy it with knowing everything that the salesmen don't really know. The salesman in the bike shop will just read you a spec sheet. Here, I've tested the spec sheet and I have just a lot to say about it. There's a few gimmicky claims that you guys need to know about. If you guys have the full information, you can make a clear decision to buy or do not buy this bike. And I think that's why I'm here, to just educate you about my full experience with the Felt VR. So before diving into the website landing page about the VR with all the information and the marketing claims that we're gonna debunk a few over there, I want to just round up my thoughts quickly to why I love this bike before going to some of their small issues that I had with it. So here's like 3 or 5 reasons why I love it. So first of all, it's a bike that it's a type of bike that I've never had before. I've always been a racer. I've always had road race bikes with aggressive position, with super stiff carbon that was not comfortable, and bikes that were basically just geared towards going fast, or at least looking fast. This bike it's a road bike. It's a all-road bike, actually. You can go everywhere. You can go on gravel. We're gonna get on that later. But it's still it has a geometry and it has some features that brings it into this endurance bike category. So what separates endurance than race bikes is mostly the comfort that the bikes will allow you to get on the road, and it's like geometry. So here's some features that really made comfort goes up is the drop chain stays. Makes a big difference. Inside of the seat post, there's a vibration dampening sleeve. We're gonna get more on that later. The front of the bike is a bit more up. It's a bit more relaxed, and the frame geometry makes the ride a bit more predictable. It's less nervy. Like when you go into a turn, like it's super stable. That's because the fork is going a bit more outwards in front, so the wheelbase is a bit longer than a race bike, which makes the bike more easy to control. And riding this bike over the last months, I felt comfort so much. I did feel the difference. First of all, because of the tire choice. So I am running GP 5000 in 32 mil with a TPU tubes inside. So this allowed me to run like at 65 PSI. Don't have a single puncture because there's a lot of volume. There's a lot of air into this tube. So pinch flat are not really a thing. I did not have a single one. And the tire, the GP 5000 is a really fast tire. So with this bike, this endurance bike, I was able to not just keep up on the group ride, I was able to make my friends suffer on the group ride. The type of rides that we usually do out here at home is like super flat roads, not much climbing. And we're just like 5-6 guys that are all in super shape, and we all just go fast for an hour or two, basically, or sometimes 3 hours. Usually we go in the realm of like 38 kilometers an hour when there's strong headwind, and when there's tailwind, we always go near that 50 kilometers an hour. Or average ride is 40k an hour, basically. So me and my boys, we go fast, and this bike did not really slow me down. This bike did not prevent me of keeping up on the group ride. I was able to ride with them without much problem. Yes, I could feel that the bike is slightly slower than the AR, but the Felt AR is a race dedicated bike. It's not comfortable because it's made to go fast. The carbon is super stiff. Here, I could just feel is the word, the comfort of the bike geometry, a bit more relaxed geometry at the front. It's just a package that increased comfort. And when you increase comfort, I also felt that it increased power, because if you go out for 2 or 3 or 4 hours, like I did quite a lot with this bike, I just felt always good later into the ride. So usually in my past race bikes, going out for 3 hours on not really good pavement was a challenge. It was getting a bit rough on the lower back, and that's where you sort of lose power output later into the ride. Is if you're not comfortable, if you have sore muscle from all the bumps and cracks, you will dial down your power, and you will technically be slower. As of this bike, which is 4 watts slower at 40 kilometers an hour, maybe 5 watts slower at 48 kilometers an hour. Like, all the power that you lose at those high speed, you increase it later in average speed. So for me, I just felt like I was able to be pushing so hard later into the rides. Is this bike slower than the AR? Yes, by 4, 5, 6 watts at 48 kilometers an hour. But if you're riding under 40 kilometers an hour, there's barely a single difference when it comes to same wheels, same tires, almost same front position. Something that you will notice with my VR is at the front. So I've decided to slam this bike. So there's only one little spacer, and it has an integrated cockpit. So the bike's visually looks good. It looks like a race bike because it's slam, because it has a integrated cockpit, because I have the IS trim of the VR. We're gonna get into like their offerings later into this video, but since mine is slam at the front and the paint job and with bigger and deeper wheels, at first sight it looks like a race bike, but it's not. So what I've loved about riding this bike is when I came up to some group rides to some new people who haven't seen this bike before, they were like, damn, it looks good. And it's not the type of comments you usually get on an endurance bike. So for me, it's sort of like it disguises itself like a race bike, but with all the advantage of the endurance. This one slam and my AR being not slam, because otherwise it would be too low, they're literally almost at the same height. So my position is quite similar. The way that my body's angled, the way my arms reach the hoods, it's almost similar. The AR has a more racy position. I could get like a bit lower into the drops because the stem is longer, but yeah, we're gonna get on that a bit later. What else do I like about this bike? So tire clearance, I love it because yeah, I'm running 32s. You could run up to 38 with a little asterisk here. We're gonna talk about that into the downsides. Yeah, I love the paint job. I love how it rides. It's still fast. I was able to keep up on the group ride. I really love the gearing with this bike. The 34 makes it a lot easy to just go up anything without much problem. And so something else I like about this bike is, since Felt is not a direct-to-consumer brand, they use a dealer network, and your bikes will become fully assembled straight to the bike shop, your local bike shop, and your local bike shop will build the bike for you. So I thought it was nice. It was like a peace of mind of like knowing that the bike comes with everything that you need. It goes to your bike shop. They're going to build it. You don't have to source any third-party parts. You don't have to build it yourself, like with some direct-to-consumer Chinese company. This bike is ready to go. You go into your bike shop floor. Either you pick from the catalog with them. They order it for you. Something else I like about this bike is definitely the look and the paint job on it. Felt went for this full VR lineup with the two-tone paint jobs. So as you see, the top is white, but it's like blue-ish white. Depending on the light, there's some blue reflective in there. It's white, but it's as slight blue. And the back of the bike is matte black. Well, it's like it's unpainted. It's just with clear coat. As we see here, we can see some raw carbon around this part, and we can see more raw carbon laid down there. And here also there's more black just to make this line. And I love the fact that like the line like match with the bike wheel. So it looks nice. I just love the angle. I feel Feld did a really good job with this two-tone paint jobs. This wraps up pretty much what I love about this bike. So now let's go look at the full spec sheet website. So Feld VR, let's dive it down. 900-gram frame. I haven't really been able to weight the frame because it came fully built, but it's quite light. We're gonna get into like my full build right now. But it's like 7.2 kilos, which is quite good for the big wheels that I have. Lowered seat stays. Yeah, I can vouch that this has comfort. Gravel light tire clearance. Okay, let's get into this. KOM smashing 25 to 28. Absolutely, that sounds good. But knobby tires from 35 to 38 for off-road. Mine at the front does fit 38. It does fit a 40 mil tire. At the back, it's another story. Since my bike is a 51, which is a small, a 38 knobby or a 38 slick does not fit. Well, maybe a slick, but a 38 knobby 100% does not fit. I tried it. I tried to put some Pirellis 38, Pirellis 40s. I tried to put some Vittoria Terreno Dry in there. It was not working because it was rubbing against the front derailleur. So it was clearing the chainstay, it was clearing the frame, but it was not clearing the derailleur. So the knobs were sort of like touching the Di2 cable going into the front mech. So is that an issue because I have a smaller bike? Maybe. Second, other issue with the tire clearance is, I mean, they don't say it on the website. I did tell Felt about that, and as of today, there's no mention that it does not fit. Gravel light clearance, yes, 35, which will get you through some very light gravel roads. It will get you through some just wide roads that are just not paved. That's fine. That's good enough. But it's not gonna get you through the super technical section. You're most likely going to flat, damage your rims because you're not Adam Roberge. So yes, Adam Roberge used this bike to race Belgian Waffle, to race the stuff that is not too technical. So Adam used the VR, this bike, for everything that is rolly, everything that's hilly, that does not have too much rock gardens or technical section. For that, use is Feld Breathe, which is the proper gravel bike. But the VR, for me, being a smaller rider with a 51, with a 35 at the back, just does not cut it for most of gravel racing. It's good enough for just like weekend rides out in the eastern townships where it's not technical, it's not too difficult. Everyone can ride those gravel. It's a good bike to do it all. If you have two set of wheels, one with 35s, one with knobs, one with race wheels like this, you can just hop swaps your wheels. If you're looking for a road bike to sometimes get out into gravel roads and you want to go through the hassle of changing tires or changing wheels for your once in a while weekend ride into very light, non-technical gravel roads, this bike will do the trick. If you want to go do single track, if you want to go race those crazy things in the US, This is not a gravel bike. Okay, dropper post ready. Totally useless. I don't know a single person who built his VR with a dropper post. Again, it's an all-road frame that can do light gravel. You don't need a dropper post for light gravel. I don't think this marketing statement should be there big and bold, but the anti-vibration insert, that works. I love it. It's pretty cool. So basically the seat post is 27.2 seat post, but the seat tube allows to put a 31.8 seat post. So what Felt did is they designed a proprietary anti-vibration insert. So it sits between the carbon seat post and in between the frame seat tube. So it's just a rubber sleeves, absorb vibration. It allows the top of your bike to be a bit more comfortable, and it does makes a difference. The AR does not have the sleeve, and I can tell when I'm going out to the same roads that I use all the time, there's a lot of cracks, there's a lot of bumps, and this vibration dampening sleeve really smooths everything without adding much weight to the bike. It's not like a suspension, it's just reduced vibration. So D-shaped forks and steerer, yep, that's cool. I love it. It looks quite good. As we see on the photo that the photo that they use, so it does look quite smaller, that spacer on the photo, than what it actually is on my bike. I do feel that spacer is quite high, but for me, for the position I'm going for, it was not a problem. I did not need to cut it. I know Adam did cut his frames, like I don't even know what to call it, but this spacer, this one. So the fork is D-shaped, so it's a design that we've seen coming along over the last couple of years. It allows you to put the hydraulic hose going through the handlebar, through the head tube, and then down to the frame. So it just makes for a sleeker, nicer looking integration here on the VR. 3 trim of the VR. You got the basic, the middle tier, and the highest tier. I have the highest tier, which is Ultegra Di2. Price-wise, I feel it's quite fair. The pricing is quite good. For entry-level, 105 mechanical, 12-speed 105, alloy wheels, 3,799 Canadian dollar. It's a good frame, good components. I feel the pricing is quite good here. For the 105 Di2, there's a big price increase there for electronical because it also goes with Reynolds carbon wheels. So big upgrade. Light is going to be lighter. The color is quite good. I feel I love this red and black theme. And the last tier, the one I have, basically integrated cockpit. So it's a Vision Metron unbranded, basically. So I'll put a photo up there, but there's a lot of companies that use this integrated handlebar. For the size, lots of range to accommodate everyone from 43, 47, 51, 54, 56, 58, and 61. We've seen a lot of bike brands now that have been sort of reducing the amount of frames available for the customers to save cost, to save some logistical. And I do feel that Felt is doing a good job here, keeping all the sizes available. So the frame set, basically the same frame set across the board, same carbon fork as well, no difference other than the paint job. The 3 trims comes with the same tire, a Rubino Pro 32 mil. So 32 mil, great choice. I love it. That's what I'm running on this bike. It's comfortable. If you haven't really tried a 32, you should. Something I feel that Felt should be doing different here. Advanced 105, sure, that's a good tire. For the Advanced 105 Di2, the Rubino, okay, that pass. But for the Advanced Ultegra Di2, to have the same Rubino tire, I feel it's a slow tire. This is the equivalent of a Gator Skin. It's not a tire meant to go fast. And if you're spending $8,000 on a bike, it's definitely not your first bike. And you know what slow tires are and fast tires are. So I would have loved your Felt to just provide with a faster 32 mil tire. And I want to tell this story here real quick is when I got this bike, the first couple rides, I was like, okay, it's comfortable with the Rubino tires. I was like, okay, it's comfortable. But I was saying this to my friends. It was like, oh, yeah, this bike's great, but under 40 kilometers an hour. over 40 kilometers an hour, I had a hard time following my mates. It was just hard. It was sticky. It was always, there was never rest going 45, going 48 kilometers an hour. I was in the wheels and I was suffering more than I should, or I used to with my other road bike. So initially I blame it on the frame set. I was like, this frame is, it's not aero, it's a bit slower. But truly, it was the tires. And when I looked online, like bicycle tire resistance.com or something like that, and I've realized that the Rubino Pro is one of the slowest tire for a road. It's like over 40 kilometers an hour. Each tire is like 25 watts of resistance, as a GP 5000 is like 12 watts or whatever. So it was per tire. So it was drastically slower than these tires. So my whole point here is, if you buy this bike, you spend $8,000 on it. It's most likely not your first bike. You know what is a group ride. You're used to riding with people. You probably used to go a little bit faster with your mates. And coming with Rubino Pro, it's just too much of a slow tire. I know this is not a race bike, but just like at this trim, I would have loved to have seen like something slightly faster. All right, so this brings me to a few downside-ish that I want you guys to know with this bike. So something I was a bit disappointed about it was the bottle cage placement of the seat tube. As you see, it's quite low, and it's so low that my bottles are actually touching the down tube here and sort of scratch the paint. Or the raw carbon. We see like it does really start to go through the carbon, and not that it's worrying me. I should maybe put something here to prevent further carbon tear, but the bottle cage is too low. And especially when you're trying to reach it, like it's just like 1 or 2 centimeters too low. So when you're going through your legs, you need to go like a bit lower to get access to your bottle cage. And same when you're trying to put the bottle back, it's just a little bit low. So I did mention the team at Felt about this issue. When or is it going to be fixed? I hope so, but as of right now, I've asked for some update about what would be fixed, and I haven't heard back. So if they do fix this bottle cage placement, I will pin a comment in the description down below. But yeah, bottle cage slightly too low. Second, a bit disappointment about this bike it was the tire clearance. As soon as I got this bike, I went on this almost 200 kilometers gravel ride. I've read on the spec sheet it was a 38. I got a 38 mil tire. I mounted, I put some sealant on this tire, and then just to figure out that it was just not fitting. I had to like go emergency bike shopping. I got a 35 Terra Speed from Continental. So I was running for that gravel event. I was running a 38 at the front with big knobs, and then a Terra Speed at the back, which does not have like much big knob, but it was good enough for the gravel that we have here in Quebec. This gravel event was not technical. Another issue I've had with this bike is with its vibration dampening sleeve. Not the sleeve itself, the cover of the sleeves. So as we see here, this is the top cap, and you see it's quite tough to take it out. But this is because I've had to put some electrical tape to beefing up the sleeve, so the plastic top cap here would sit and not move. So I've had issue where this cap was just like twisting or like going sideways, which is a bit annoying. It's just easy to go and put it back in place, but it was just, I don't know. I don't know if it was the wind. I don't know if it was with my leg going on the bike. I was just slightly like pushing it sideways, and I always had to put back the cap or like the cover of the sleeve. So what I did is I just took some electrical tape. I did some turns around the seat post or around the sleeve. So now this other sleeves really like hugged and it stays in place. And since I've done that little trick, it hasn't moved at all. Something else also is when you buy a bike, I mean, again, this is not a Felt issue, it's just a me issue. Someone who've been building my bikes more custom over the last couple of years, is the integrated bar that came with the bike is most likely not going to be perfectly sized for you. So with it being a 51, it came with a 90 stem integrated bar. So for me, it's a little bit on the shorter end. It's something that is perfect for being on a bit more relaxed, more comfortable. When I'm on top of the hoods, like I can stay there for hours and hours because the position, like the stem is shorter. It allows me to be more comfortable upright. You guys know the drill, but it's not something that I've chosen. It's something that just came in the box with the bike. So 51 come with the 90, 54 probably come with 100, 50. Like I would need to check it out. We haven't even seen it on the website about the length of the cockpit, but basically it's cool, an integrated cockpit. But it's an industry-wide problem that like bikes come assembled, the stem that they pick for the size of the bike is most likely not like the right one for you. So if you're lucky and you're a bit like me, this stem and bike size combo was great for endurance. It's great for just being on top of the hoods. It's great to be more on the Sphinx position and be aggressive. But for me, the drops, they're just slightly too short. Now, I have a hard time unleash my full all-out sprint that I know that I can do on my race bike, just because the handlebar is a bit on the shorter side. But I'm totally fine with it because this is not a bike that I will race a crit that I need to unleash 12,000 watts at the end of a race. This is endurance. This is for the long days on the bike, and 99.9% of the time you are in the top of the hoods and you are in a more comfortable position, which is what this bike is designed for. So for me to complain about the drops being slightly too short, that does not allow me to sprint, it's not really a valid complaint because this bike is not meant for that. It excels exactly at what it does, is being an endurance bike, not being town owl sprint. And like, don't get me wrong, I can still pull out like 1,000 watts on this thing for 15-20 seconds. I can still sprint it. It's just I'm a bit more restricted and I just feel slightly awkward because my arms are like slightly closer to the body, and then my full body is a bit more like backwards on the bike. So yeah, not as efficient, but I don't really care. And you should not care. If you buy this bike, you can sprint, but it's not made to be sprinted. I mean, you get the point right now. So what are the upgrades that I've done to this bike? So I've changed a couple things. First is the crankset. So it was a 50-34. I changed it for a 50-36. The wheels, I changed the wheels because I have other partners, but the wheel that came with the bike, the Reynolds AR46, they look super good. I haven't tried them out, but they're sort of light, tubeless ready. They were like 50 mil if I'm correct. So quite fast, quite aero, just a really good wheel for like a package that comes with this bike. I've also changed, what else? I've changed the through axle because I'm a nerd, and I upgraded the felt through axle for like carbon through axle. There's a video on my Instagram about that, but I save like 20 grams per through axle, so it's super marginal. The saddle's not original because I'm more of a pro stealth kind of guy. And the last upgrade I've done was the tire. So I went with GP 5000 32 mil. This tire is extremely fast. It allows me to be as fast in the group ride as I could. I love it. All right, so to wrap up my thoughts on the Felt VR, who is this bike for? So I think this bike is for three main categories of people. The first one is this is going to be your first new bike. So someone that had a bike loan from a friend, someone who had like a first secondhand bike from Facebook Marketplace that's probably rain brake. And you're looking at a bike to sort of do it all. You're looking at a bike that you have comfort. You're looking at the bike that you can keep up on group rides with your friends. You're looking at the bike that you can put some gravel tires, 35 at the back for the smaller frames, but 38 at the front, to do some very light gravel stuff, just to be able to do everything. And some people who want to do everything will get a gravel bike, but when you put road tires on a gravel bike, it sucks. But that's for another story. This bike is mainly for the road, the pavement person that want to do gravel from time to time. You're buying this bike because you want to have a relationship with a local bike shop. So Felt is only retailed through a bike shop. So this is such a great advantage for you to build a relationship with your local bike shop, because once you're going to have some issues with your chains that needs to be replaced, or some problems with your drivetrain, some problem with the wheels, you break a spoke or anything, that you want to have a relationship with the local bike shop, Felt only goes in through that direction. So if you get a Felt bike, you're going to have to get it through a bike shop. So again, to get back that, if it's going to be your first bike that you buy from new, you're probably not like super tech savvy and super aware of how a bike actually works. So having that relationship with the bike shop will be super crucial for you, so they can help out and make sure that your bike is up and running safely and to be super reliable at the same time. Another category of person I think this bike is for the guy that used to race and that does not race anymore, and I just want to ride on really long rides. I want to be comfortable, that want to get home, that want to keep up with a group ride, that want to do some gravel from time to time, and just still be fast and still have a good time on the bike. As you see, this is me. This is this guy. This is exactly how I've been using this bike over the last 3 months. I've used it for its full versatility, went from really long and big climbing days, went for some very flat roads, 100, 150 kilometers, 200 kilometers on this bike. It's comfortable. It allows me to be as fast as almost as fast as I used to. I'm able to keep up with my friends. This is all I need in a bike, because I'm at the point where I value comfort, and this bike delivers. And the third category of who I think this bike's for is for the person who don't want to have 2 bikes or 3 bikes, for the person that is tired of carrying and maintaining a lot of bikes, or for the person who just don't want to buy to be having one road bike, one gravel bike, one endurance bike. Like, this bike is an all-road, all-do-it-all bike, as mentioned a lot of times. You can do anything. You should definitely consider it. It's a great bike. I'm fortunate enough to be able to have access to a lot of bikes, and I've decided to spend my time on this bike, on this saddle, for all these kilometers for this 2024 season. So I'm really grateful about the opportunity Felt offered me here to have this bike, despite the fact that it does have a few downsides, a few drawbacks. Now I think like you guys can make the decision to purchase it or not based on the information that you have. But yeah, it's a good bike. I love it, and I'm sure you're going to have a very good time on this bike if you do decide to go for it. So that's it. That was a long one. I hope you enjoyed, and my name is Charles, and I will see you on the road or into the next video. Peace.